We got some folks still coming in through the waiting room. Welcome. And as we're kind of waiting here to get started, feel free if you want to in the chat tonight to throw in where you're from. And really, what I'm interested in hearing too is I got a couple questions for folks. One is what is the coolest bird that you've seen recently? So it doesn't have to be today and a bird in the last week or so. And or maybe you got answers to both, throw them in the chat. What is the cool bird-related Christmas item that's on your wish list? And I already got a few things on my list, but maybe I'm looking for a couple extra ideas. So as we're kind of waiting here, I see some more folks are coming in from the waiting room. So throw in the chat tonight is I'd love to hear where you're from, what's on your wish list, and what cool birds have you seen? And I was kind of thinking, what have I seen recently? I know there's been a lot of folks chasing snowy owls in the area. Look at that. I see snowy owls coming in there. Winter finches coming in. We got red poles been seen recently. What else has been seen? Yeah, duck season, cranes. We were out just at Jasper Pulaski a week ago. The numbers are building now that the cold snap has arrived. So a lot of good birds that are coming in. Wish list items, though, I don't know. Whitney, are you seeing any wish list items coming in here? Anything good that I need to add? You got a good book, maybe, or maybe optics that you got on your wish list there?
Oh, on my wish list.
Anyone's there that's throwing in there in the chat. Always looking for new ideas. And let me
Wingspan.
wingspan, yeah, or some expansion packs. Feather detective, I'm here and there. More folks are coming in here. We are a couple minutes into it, so we should get started there. I do want to welcome everyone to Indiana Audubon's Year in Review, our highlights and horizons, and it's our chance to reach out here to the membership at the end of the year and kind of report back on the different successes and stories, all things birds that have happened over the last year or so. And there's always so many exciting programs and things that are happening that it's amazing how I'm always finding out about new stuff that we got going on, and I'm involved in it every day. And so there's no way that any one of our members can tune in. So I really appreciate that you're able to tune in tonight and kind of learn more about what we've had in the last year, some of our successes. We'll look at what we have going on in the year ahead. I also want to honor some of the different awards that we've given out over the last year or so, and we'll give out some prizes before we're done here. So I think we still got more folks coming in from the waiting room, but as we kind of get everyone in there again, throw in there what's the coolest bird you've seen lately, and if you got a cool Christmas wish list item, feel free to throw that in the chat. We'd love to hear that. Let me talk briefly here before we get started. I was listening to a really cool podcast in the last season or so, and it featured our own Indiana Audubon's Whitney Yorger. She was talking about our mission. You can look at our mission and talks about engaging the public in research, conservation, and education, and all the things that make Indiana Audubon great as a statewide organization, yet still having boots on the ground. But what she simply stated was Indiana Audubon's mission is to get people excited about birds. And I will fight tooth and nail that Indiana Audubon is about the birds. But really, it honestly is about the people. It's about the membership and the folks, because what we can do, you're going to see me introduce the staff here in a second, is what those 4 or 5 folks can do. 1,500 folks are able to do far more better. And what we can do is those sparks by getting people excited, driving the conservation, it moves into education, into the research, and everything we're able to do. And so by getting people excited, it's creating those spark birds, those spark moments, and most importantly, as we have 1,500 people that represent here as part of Indiana Audubon today, spark people too. And so all you guys are all part of that help kind of drive that interest in birds that leads to better bird conservation. So I want to introduce those that are with us this evening that do represent some Indiana Audubon's paid staff. And I got a little slide for that as well that we'll show here. And I'm going to bring each one of them on, let them kind of say a brief word or so. And I want to know what is on their Christmas wish list, or what is the coolest bird they've seen. And so, Whitney, you want to advance that slide one over there? And so yeah, I introduced myself. And so I've been out looking for some of the different longspurs and snow buntings out in the fields lately as well. I just had one of our board members, Cookie, text a cool picture out in the fields too of a pipit as well. And so there are some cool, exciting birds as we kind of pivot into Christmas bird season. Going down the list, we do have with us Libby Keys, is our Mary Gray Bird Sanctuary Operations Manager. And if you've been to Mary Gray, you perhaps have run into Libby out there in the field or out at some of the different events. Libby, you want to say hi? What's your wish list item or coolest bird? You.
Unmuted. So I think my coolest bird that I've seen recently, we're gonna talk about later in the slides, so I'm not gonna spoil anything. My wish list bird is one that has been seen at Mary Gray before, but it's been a while, but this might be a really good year for it, is the evening grosbeak. I'd like to see him show back up.
That would be a pretty good one to see. Let me also introduce one of our newest Indiana Audubon staff members, started this fall as our Bird Programs and Partnerships Manager, Sam Merquitas. Sam, what is your Christmas wish list item?
Ooh, that's tough. I'm gonna be going to New Mexico to visit my family, so I feel like I'll see a lot of really cool birds down there.
Definitely see a lot there. So we'll touch back in on some of the other programs that you've been helping out with lately. And we also, I believe, have Whitney Yorger, our communications and outreach manager, usually on our virtual night. She's the one that you're seeing and communicating with the most, but she's behind the scenes and providing some different links to you tonight. And she'll be talking about some of the overall programs and outreach that we've been doing this year. Whitney, do you have a cool bird or Christmas wish list item?
Christmas wish list, probably a snow bunting because every December I kind of miss them and then I have to start all over again next year. So that would be the goal for this month.
Awesome. Sweet.
Hey, everyone.
Libby, let me just check. Sometimes in the background, we got out shoveling snow and such. Alex Wartall, our sanctuary land steward, is occasionally indoors. Is he indoors tonight or is he out?
He is not indoors tonight.
He's probably still out looking for your saw-whet owl at Mary Gray.
Yeah.
And we definitely have other contract staff that help out with different aspects that you may run into, whether at one of our Indiana Dunes Project Owlnet sites, whether you're at the Indiana Dunes. Everybody knows Sam Warren. And we'll be introducing here in the coming weeks is our newest field trips and bird ambassador coordinator, Lauren Job, down in Bloomington. And so she'll be helping out, communicating if you're signed up to any of our different field trips. And we'll be kind of talking about the impact of those as we go on through the program tonight. So definitely a lot of folks that are working behind the scenes as the program grows, but it's definitely due to the membership that helps out with a lot of this going on. And let's take a look, in fact, at what we've done in the last year or so because of kind of your support and your work. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Whitney and kind of talk about our year by the numbers.
Well, hey, y'all. We had a pretty exciting year this 2025. I can't believe it's almost over. So I'm going to just kind of glide through some exciting um, stats and see what you guys think. Starting with our unique offerings that we had for Indiana Audubon. We calculated things a little bit differently this year where we were thinking about every single way that we were touching different people across the state. And so the number here on the screen, we welcomed people of all ages, skill levels, and backgrounds into the birding fold with 346 different programs. And even with that, that number includes more festival offerings this year for the Indiana Dunes Birding Festival than it did last year. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. As far as our reach, we connected with at least 5,350 different people across the state in 2025. And that reach really stands out for us in particular because we don't just put on events all the time. Our focus is also a statewide organization that works with not just education, like you're seeing here on screen, where we were doing a bluebird box building workshop and talking about how to be a proper bluebird host for your yard, but we also do education, conservation, and research. So we're just stretching our wings. The next slide, Indiana Dunes Birding Festival. We had 850 birders gathered in the Indiana Dunes that were registered for the festival. We tallied, it was one of our biggest and birdiest festivals, and we actually tallied 212 species across the region for the whole duration of this year's festival, which marks a new record for us, surpassing the previous high of 208 species. So that was a really exciting thing for us to happen this year. But that human count that we have on the screen for this, the 850, doesn't include the visitors who drop by the migration marketplace or said hello to us in the visitor center at the Dunes Visitor Center. So a lot happens there. And you can see on screen here, we've got our festival speaker, Sasha Dench, the long, beautiful blonde hair off to the right-hand side. And so a bunch of nerdy birders on bikes for the festival. Our Mumford and Keller funding, we also set a new record with that because we more than doubled the number that we were giving out for our grants and scholarships this year. And that's almost twice as year as last year's total. So we set that new record with the $24,600, and that's, I think we rounded up, but we might actually have given a little bit more than that. And this was going into projects that we'll talk about a little bit later here. One of the things that I have a fun experience with is Echoes in the Night Sky. And it's a project that we are now in our second year doing this project. We involved 20 birders in spring and then 16 birders in the fall to record nighttime migration across 30 different locations in the state. And with that, we logged 36,933 individual migrating birds. The biggest count for that was our Swainson's thrush. We counted a heck of a lot of Swainson's thrushes, more than 5,000 validated in our detections on these recorders that are in that bucket there. You can't see the recorder, but people have these recorders on different parts in their yards, recording birds flying overhead. So we had a 39% increase in the number of species that we were able to identify from these flight calls that are just maybe milliseconds in length. And they were flying overhead while we were all sleeping at night, hours before many of us were going out to go birding. So that was a pretty fun way for us to see what we're capable of with these citizen science. And I'm going to pass it over to Brad now to talk a little bit more about the other. So thanks for listening.
There's so many bird programs that we're able to be a part of. And you saw the grant program this year. We'll talk more about how much we're able to fund and kind of keep that impact going. But there's so many flagstone kind of programs from Indiana Audubon. And one I think is kind of the most exciting is 163,000 birds identified just this year up at the bird tower during the spring longshore flight. And now we've been going on for well over a decade counting birds. And so they have a special milestone passed this year. We had the 3 millionth grackle, or I don't know what it was. Somebody had a clicker ready at 2,999,000 ready for which one it was. We could place our bets on it, but it's just amazing the migration magnitude, and that just kind of goes to show why the Indiana Dunes is such an important bird area, and we're studying. And so, even as we continue to struggle with some different grant funding, especially on the federal level, to kind of keep these kind of programs going, the data that we're able to collect with your support has been continuing to be valuable. And we'll add that to the next study that we'll kind of talk about. And on the reverse end from the spring is our fall, the Brock Fall Water Bird Survey, and that 38,000 birds were logged this year. The biggest date being over 8,000 birds just on November 10th. And so originally the project started to document the amazing Jaeger migration where, upwards of 3 different species will congregate on that southern tip of Lake Michigan. And now it's expanded to a lot more, from shorebirds, some of the federally endangered species such as piping plovers and red knots, to late season birds, and including short-eared owls and snow buntings and redpolls that they were able to document just here in the last week or so. So that season is just now compiling its data. If you follow the longshore in the spring the spring longshore and the fall waterbird blogs, then you can continue to get updates and look for the Indiana Audubon Quarterly for a full report on the fall survey. And the spring one was up in the summer issue as well. So some great data still to be collected there, and it's amazing what we continue to see. And look at the amazing photography that we get there, John Cassidy and that Jaeger flying by this year.
Oh, I'm picking back up. Okay, so one of the last things that we're going to wrap up in here for our data that we were gathering for you to kind of give you a capture of what happened in numbers. We have a lot of wonderful volunteers who make all this work possible, from those who are helping us out with the different research projects, to the people who are showing up at Mary Gray to help do weed wrangles and help with some of the management there on the property, to anything that you can find that we need help with. And so if you are one of those people who wants to come and get more involved with Indiana Audubon, we'd love to have you. We have a volunteer interest form online that you can sign up for and say, hey, I'm really interested in being at Mary Gray, or I'd love to help out with this one research project, or I have another idea that I can help you with. Please let us know. We had 3,132 hours right now that we have tracked in our volunteer system. And that number is counting because we still have work that's happening throughout the end of the year, and people are still logging their hours kind of retroactively. So all that, all the smiles on the screen here, this is from our Project Owlnet team in the Indiana Dunes. And we also had people helping this season at Mary Gray and Connorsville. So much wonderful work happens because of all these smiling people who are helping us do it. So just like it says on the screen, a great volunteer makes the things that we do unforgettable. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And just, the experience, I'm about to talk about it too, a little bit more, is so great. There's so much going on around the state, and it's hard to make it to any one program, being all over. Thankfully, we're smaller than some of the other state Audubons that have to do it. But what I wanted to really do, what we all want to do tonight, was in our highlights, is to kind of show you kind of behind the scenes and a look at around both Mary Gray and some of the different events that we're doing, and maybe catch some instances that you didn't experience during the rest of the year, whether if you missed the events or you didn't catch some of the updates that we may have had on social media. And so it's just a kind of chance to dive a little deeper into a couple of our other programs here for a few minutes. And I hope you're paying attention to everything that we're sharing you tonight, because we do have trivia in a little bit. And some of what we're kind of leaking out might be in this trivia. And I have some really cool prizes that we want to give out too. And some of those prizes have to do with the first program that, as you can see in this image here, that I want to talk about. And let's take a special look at Project Owlnet. And folks ask, why do you keep doing that program? Have you gotten an update on the owls? Do we know enough of the information on their migration? Well, look at this. If I was here last year, I would have been showing you over 100 owls. And yet now we got 30 different owls. And so there's so much to learn about the population dynamics. And we know that things such as climate change and is causing kind of a wreck up in the boreal forest. And so what that's doing to individual species is having trickle down and cascading effects to other species. So it continues to be valuable as we learn of shifts in their population, and to be able to get an experience to see this. There's several options we have around the state, several different stations, not just through Indiana Audubon as part of this Project Owlnet network that you can explore. And we offer both demo nights that you can come out to next year free at the different sites. But then you can also do these all access nights, and through a little donation, you get to go out and visit. We're going to put you to work. You're going to check the nets, and I'll show you just kind of behind the scenes. If you were over at Mary Gray, they just hosted one a couple weeks ago, and you get on the headlamps. It's 32 degrees out, and you have to, in those cold fingers that you're going to have, you're moving up these nets, and as they set up the net, and they use that collar. And so this was our all access group at Mary Gray, and you saw that total here. On a bad year, you may only see 25, 30 owls, and a site that's really quiet like Mary Gray may get 0 owls. And so they're still waiting on their first owl down at Mary Gray. That I guess they're all held up in the dunes. And so this group here is checking the nets. You can see the little trammels are walking down those net lanes. You hear the tooting of the collar that attracts something. Not apparently saw-whet owls this year at Mary Gray. But Libby's laughing. She was probably out there with them, and it was probably one of many walks that you did out there at night looking for a saw-whet owl, not seeing one. But as you saw in that image in the previous slide, is they are adorable birds. And this is what I'll tell you, is even if you have an hour drive and a hotel stay to do it, go visit one of our owl net nights. You may not see an owl. It's for some reason, we've based a program on the availability of a wild bird, so they don't always show up. But it's so cool, just the experience being out there at night, being amongst owl lovers. You're going to sit around the campfire, eat some s'mores, and dream of seeing owls. And on a lot of nights, you do get to see an owl. And so definitely worth seeing, and it's definitely worth collecting the data that we continue to get. So if you've been to one of the OwlNet nights, let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear if you saw an owl. Most folks do get a chance to see an owl, and we'll continue it in the next year. We also got Chasing Melody we're wrapping up now instead of a long-term program, the second year of a 2-year program tracking now what is over 1,100 wood thrushes across the United States that have been tagged with MODIS and are being tracked in real time right now. And we're seeing our own birds, 20 this season, now 47 collectively that we have in Indiana that have been migrating down. And what's really cool is some of the data that we're already getting. And even if you've not adopted a bird, you can go to the Chasing Melody website, check out the notes in the field, and you can get some of this information, these in the field notes that we're giving. And we're learning so much information on the left. You see all the wood thrushes that have MODIS tags and kind of where they're moving and distributing to. And of course, we can just take that Indiana data. And we got news stations too. We've helped fund through Chasing Melody, the new Honduras station, and just look at all the birds pinging that tower and where they're coming from. So much data through MODIS and Chasing Melody. And it's been just an amazing project to see. So much support too from the individual Audubon chapters adopting birds to see this project to fruition. So I think we're going to see a lot of cool opportunities with MODIS and other species in the future. What else can we talk about? I think I got one more program I really want to hit up tonight. And with that, I think I got an opportunity to bring in Amy Kearns too. Has helped kind of co-lead this program with the DNR side. And for now, we've had about 6 or 7 years now as being part of the Adopt a Shrike program. Originally, it was kind of Shrubs for Shrikes, as it was billed. And we can report 18 banded loggerhead shrikes this year in 2025. And I believe, Amy, you're there?
Yep, I'm here.
And
Hello.
it takes us almost how many loggerhead shrikes have you banded to the entire project now?
Very, very close to 300.
So amazing. And I was talking about how, there's programs like Project OwlNet where we can invite folks out. You're going to sit down and we're going to chill. You're going to wait. If there's an owl, we're going to bring it right to you. We can't take a group of 30 people to the roadside in Amish country and say, sit down and watch some shrike banding. And so a lot of folks, you just don't get that opportunity to do it. It's very different research. And so I was talking about that same opportunity. And you said, hey, I'm watching a shrike right now. Let me just turn on my camera. And you were able to send in, and we got a couple of videos kind of behind the scenes of the Shrike program for folks that haven't seen it that I'd like to show, if you're okay with that, Amy.
Sounds great.
And so while we started up here, you were chatting and you mentioned that as there was a shrike, there was another bird around. And what is that bird that you have in your hand right now?
This is a little raptor, the smallest falcon in North America, the American kestrel.
Obviously, this is a bird that is in the same habitat as a shrike.
Mm-hmm. And besides being in the same habitat, they like to eat some of the same things. So I had in a trap, I had some little mice lures, and the kestrel decided it wanted one of my mice lures. And as I was videoing this for Indiana Audubon, the landowner drove by. So
Okay.
pretty special opportunity to show a bird to the landowner, because anytime I have a chance to talk to them and share the birds and my love of birds with them, I want to do that, because the whole reason the birds are there is because of the landowner. So
So you're out there collecting shrikes and you get a kestrel, and so he thinks you have a shrike.
Yeah, he thought I was looking at the shrikes, but I was actually banding this kestrel that had gone into the trap first. And then as we were talking about it, the shrike actually went into the trap. So he got to see the kestrel, and then he got to see a shrike as well. So he saw both birds up close. His timing was perfect.
Oh, shoot, I'm gonna catch a shrike. You're gonna get to see both.
So suddenly you got a shrike going in the trap. So describe the trap briefly.
I'm excited for you.
It's a really safe walk-in trap. It's set with a mouse to be the lure, and then the shrike jumps into that trap to try to get the mouse.
I'm gonna let her go.
And it's caught,
Actually doing it as a video.
and I go take it out of the trap. right
You
away.
ready?
So here she goes.
All right.
She does. So at the end of the day, you have a bunch of mice that have all these puncture marks in them.
No, they don't have
No.
any. They're not hurt at all. They're inside of a little trap, a little cage
Gotcha.
inside of the trap. So
Gotcha.
they don't get
Cool.
hurt at all. They're perfectly safe.
So he flies away, and then you do get a shrike.
Yes, we caught a shrike right after this, and the landowner got to go with me and see it up close. He's been amazing, and I really appreciate him and his property. He's got this pasture land, and
There it
he's got
is.
some bushes and a fence row, and there were shrikes on his property for the first time this year, and they were successful. So it was pretty wonderful. It's great guy.
So as you're banding, you're putting color bands on, and that allows you to recite them in the field, whether they're here or they move around. So tell me who this is. Was he a boy, girl? How old?
So this is a young male shrike, just hatched this year. And here I was taking the length of his wing. I took his wing cord measurement. I was able to sex the shrike, take some feather samples. So right now I'm taking a feather sample. And then I also took a blood sample. And then the bird got 4 bands. One of the bands is a hard metal band with a unique number on it, but that's really hard to see. You have to actually be holding the bird to see the number. So we put these plastic color bands on in a unique combination, and then if it's photographed or seen anytime for the rest of its life, it can be identified without ever having to capture it again.
It's so great to see this kind of multi-year program now be able to exist. And you saw in the comments there's a link. If you haven't visited the Adopt a Shrike page, if you're interested in adopting a shrike, you can go there, get more information. You get a little bottle, the cool little slogan from the working group, never met a shrike I didn't like. And so a lot of cool ways, and you'll get an annual update from Amy as well on the status of the shrikes that she's out there in the rural country helping to document and research this amazing state endangered bird. So Amy, thanks for your work in helping with that project.
Thank you. Thank you, Indiana Audubon, and everybody who has adopted a shrike and donated to the Non-Game Wildlife Fund. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. So 3 great programs, and I want to mention one other thing, and then I want to pivot over and look at our highlight property. But in the course of last year too is our travel program and the different trips that we do around the area. It continued to be amazing experiences for folks, and these are really the highlights of that mission of kind of getting people excited about birds. Is I look at this scene right here and just my own memories of being out there on a frozen cold road up at the Zaxton Bog and looking around and seeing people crying watching a great gray owl. And so not only do we get a lot from these experiences, but if you travel with Indiana Audubon, we also give back. And so there's so many ways that through our own Mumford and Keller grant and scholarship program, wherever we travel, we're able to provide. And so here an example is the Friends of Zaxton Bog and the work that they do protecting the different land preserves. And then we recently had just a big old trip in the last month to Peru. And so an amazing Northern Peru adventure, about 12 days. And there's our group photo of everyone that was out there and along. And not only were we able to give back and support the endangered areas that hold the long-whiskered owlet up in the Peruvian Andes, but I want to focus on that guy there on the left. And so that is Carlos Altamira, and he is in his hometown, just kind of down the slopes there. He was walking past this property that had been for sale, and he was watching strangers come off of the property with cock of the rocks. And there's that bird featured there on the right side over their shoulder to cook for dinner. And he said, we can't do that to these birds. And he loved the birds, and he bought this property. And for years, he had been protecting it and keeping people out. And it was an amazing lek where all these cock of the rock males gather and they dance up in the trees in the afternoon. And he started to realize when traveling with Indiana Audubon was how beneficial it could be telling that story and bringing people there to spread that word of tourism and why these birds are important more than just eating. And so we were the very first group, and I got a little video snippet here as we were just kind of hanging out in the afternoon. Let's go ahead and share that at this site owned by Carlos, and you'll hear them screaming in the distance. This site had 23 that day, and the work that he's doing is helping to kind of protect those. And so, as through our travels, we're able to give back and to help support that, so other folks can see that, and that we can continue to protect the cock of the rock. So it's not just work that we're doing protecting right here in Indiana, but all over the world. So amazing work that you can do in the different trips if you travel with us. We have upcoming trips all the way from Michigan to Ecuador. So I invite you to go to Indiana Audubon .org/events, and you can learn more about some of our upcoming field trips here and far. Let me pivot to Mary Gray Bird Sanctuary, and let me welcome back Libby and kind of talk about some of the highlights we've had there in the last year.
Sure. So I'm going to start it off with a fun video of the thing that draws hundreds of people to the sanctuary every year. I took this video like late spring, early summer. We had a horrible rainstorm. The power was out. I was reading on the front porch, and as it was getting dark, I just started like it sounded like I was next to a helicopter. I was surrounded by hummingbirds. Super cool. I don't know if you can hear them all humming away and yelling at each other. They're very territorial. But the number of them and the research being done over the years to ban them and study them started off our hummingbird migration celebration. It's a super fun event. We did it on August 9th this past year. We had just a super full, fun day of hikes and demonstrations and crafts and presentations. And not just about hummingbirds. Hummingbirds are definitely the main event, but we do things like crane conservation and native plants. There was a bee workshop, a fishing workshop, candle making, just a ton of different things, bluebird box making. Um, Food trucks, trolleys, live music. The big draw is always the hummingbird banding. We had over 20 vendors. We had over 50 volunteers, which was by far and away the most we've ever had. It was amazing. And 14 event sponsors. And there's a little save the date down there for August 1st. We have it planned already, and we're working on next year's celebration. Our next topic at Mary Gray is one that is always ongoing. It is resource management, the ongoing battle against invasive species, keeping this habitat healthy and appealing for not just the birds that we want to be here, but for all of the animals. This year, over 70 hours have been spent treating 60 acres, and that is just focusing on things like garlic mustard and stiltgrass, autumn olive, the big invasive plants. That's not even including things like bridge building and prescribed burns. So we did a prescribed burn this past spring on the far west end of the sanctuary to treat some acres. We had a lot of volunteers, 3 local fire departments, and we got about 10 acres burned. Here's a great video of that to help open the habitat back up and keep it appealing for things like prairie warblers and chafs that use that side of the property. And I remember that being about a 40 degree day, pretty cold until you're standing next to the fire and then you're sweating. And the last big thing that went on this year was our Brooks Hall upgrades. So we had a over $17,000 grant from our local community foundation, the Fayette Community Foundation, to make upgrades to the hall to kind of improve visitor experience and education. Everything like the boring but really nice stuff like new chairs and tables, new lighting, which totally brightened up the space, new seating on the porches, different displays and hands-on learning materials, and a new donor tree, which was really exciting. We got to showcase that at the Hummingbird Festival this year. So here's some pictures of that new hall front porch, and some of our new displays, and our window stickers for the hall too. That was really exciting.
All right. We want to try some trivia now, and we have a different way that we're going to do it this year. And so we're going to kind of pivot over here. And many of you guys may have done this before. You've been out some of the Owlnet nights. You may have played this before. We are going to play a little version of Kahoot. And so for us to do that, let me turn it on here. You're going to need to go to a internet browser, whether it be on your phone, well, preferably on your phone, and you're going to go to kahoot.it. And so you can either, if you're on a laptop and have a phone, you can scan the QR code, or you can go to Internet Explorer. You can just go to Kahoot, again, www.kahoot.it. Obviously, folks are figuring it out right away. It's going to ask for the game PIN code. So if you're on a phone trying to toggle back and forth, you can kind of minimize your zoom, and you'll have as a little window in your screen, and you can still enter in the 448-5434. It's going to give you a minute or so here to get folks in there so you can kind of represent, put in your name. And we have 10 different questions related to Indiana Audubon and our activities this year, birding, and we're just going to test you here, see how you're doing. And not only if you think, well, I'm going to get them all right, well, you were also scored on speed too. So the fastest fingers is going to win. And we do have prizes at the end of our Kahoot there. It'll give a first, second, and third. And as we are wrapping up the Project Owlnet season, we do have some Owlnet digs to give out. And so if you win here, feel free to comment to Whitney afterwards in the chat, and we can get your full name, get your address. That way you can win your prize and we'll get it mailed to you. If you're third place, we have these really cool Project Owlnet shirts. These are long sleeve shirts that we had this season for some of our volunteers. So for third place, we have that. Second place, you can get a Project Owlnet tote bag. So some really cool tote bags. You can take this around throughout grocery shopping. And if you get first place tonight, check this out. These things are huge. This is the Project Owlnet giant oversized throw. So we'll give that out to first place winners. So I think we got lots of folks in the room. Maybe a few folks are still trying to get in. So fast fingers. Let's play Kahoot. Let's see how many questions that we can get.
Brad, I think you're gonna have to share your screen because I can't get it logged in on
Oh, is it not sharing my screen right now?
Oh. Try again.
They're sharing it. Can you see this?
I can see it, Brad.
Sweet. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Kahoot.it, game pin 448-5434. You'll just enter in your name really quick there. And we got a lot of you guys in here, and let's play a little trivia. Ready? There we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. First question for you. When is the hummingbird migration celebration next year? $17 answers, 18 answers. It was in one of the slides. Did you catch it? Hopefully everybody's going to get it. Everybody's going to get this one correct. You already got it on your calendar. There we go. Yes. August 1st, 2026 is next year's event. If you don't have it, put it on your calendar now. It's not in January. And how we doing? Caitlin in the lead. Okay, next one. Which of these species does not typically hunt in the same habitat as a shrike? There are a couple options there. Harriers, birdwings, shepherd owls, kestrels. How are we doing? Ooh, yeah, most of you guys got it right. Yeah, broadwing hawks being much more deeper woods. I think of Brown County when I think of broadwing hawks. And let's see how we're doing there. Ooh, Caitlin, Jeremy, and Olivia picking the 3 places right now. We'll see how it goes. Next question. Which location on the Indiana Birding Trail would you skip if you were hoping to find a piping plover? I want to see a piping plover. Which of these 4 spots do I not go to? Answers are pouring in, maybe with a color band on them. We're lucky enough. You guys are pretty good. Yeah, you guys know the Indiana Birding Trail pretty well. Pine Hills is where you're going to go if you're looking for maybe worm-eating warbler. Here's how we're doing. Ooh, Olivia's on fire. Caitlin and Jeremy behind. Let's do number 4. Which species showed up most often in the Echoes of the Night Sky recordings in 2025? Ooh, the answers coming in really fast. Which species came in the most? 3, 2, 1. Look at that. Yeah, you guys are paying attention. Swainson's. Next question. Which of these is an easy high impact action of Birdtown? We'll be talking about Birdtown, Indiana. What is a high impact action a Birdtown can take this spring if you want to help migrants? Several different options there. Read them through. Increase nighttime commercial lighting, astroturfs, creating native wildflower buffers, or taking flights during the day. There we go. Yep. Creating native wildflower buffers and reduced flights during peak migration always helps. How we doing? Ooh. It is just a couple hundred points difference there. Number 6. Wood thrush movement mapping is possible due to this Indiana Audubon program. Boom, boom. I see them flying in. We got 3 that know that they have to like split seconds to get it in there. Where are we getting movement mapping from for wood thrushes? Yeah, Chasing Melody. Most of you guys got it. Okay, here we go. Caitlin back in the lead. How many total shrikes have been color banded in Indiana since the Adopt a Shrike program has started? How many? Do you remember how many have been done? So you guys got an answer in. And yeah, it was almost 300 have been banned and color banded that Amy reported on. So what will be number 300 next year? That's how we're doing. Jeremy taking the lead. Still just it's a couple 100-point difference there. Number 8. How many Jaeger species occur in Indiana? You're going up there to the Kenneth J. Brock Fall Waterbird count, and you're looking to see a Jaeger. It's not as many as warblers. That's a hint I'll give you. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, most of you guys got it there. 3 species: Pomeranian, long-tailed, parasitic, and ooh, look at it. It's a 3-point difference. Oh no. Which social bird species did Indiana Audubon support protecting through a recent Peru tour donation? Which bird was it? I've been using this at Dunes for our Owlnet for years, and they haven't changed the music once in a Kahoot. Yep, the Cock of the Rock, amazing preserve there where the lek is in northern Peru. And Jeremy's on fire in the lead. Let's see how we're doing here. We got the last question, number 10. Which winter finch tends to roam the greatest distances during big eruption years? So in those winters that they're coming down, tougher. They all can move, but which one goes the farthest? And turns out it's pine siskins have been known to travel the most. And I actually can recall Christmases visiting my folks in the Everglades and having a pine siskin fly over. So they move far and wide, maybe just because they're abundant. So let's see, how are we doing here? Isaac Third place, Caitlin, congratulations. Second place. And who's 9314? How did that happen? Oh, Jeremy. I thought I wasn't showing a name. That was the score. Congrats to Jeremy, Caitlin, and Isaac. If you'd like cheers, comments in the chat, you can go directly if you want to Wit and give some. We'll collect some information from you for senior year prizes, and so we'll have those Project Owlnet blankets, shirts, and such sent over there. So congratulations. We'll give out some other prizes here, of course, over the course of the coming year, and some cool things that we'll be talking about here shortly before the end of the hour. But let me turn things over quickly to Sam, who can speak to our Mumford and Keller program and the grants that were given out this year.
So I'm excited to talk about the Mumford and Keller Awards and all the money that we gave out this last year. So Mumford and Keller was established in 2010, and it's just a great way to connect people and birds. So we have three main categories. The first is habitat and research projects. So we gave money to the Friends of Lye Creek Burn to help out with wetland trail cameras and marsh bird monitoring. We gave some money to Ball State to assist with nest monitoring and some student research, as well as our friends over at Whitefish Point to help out with their owl banding and monitoring, which really helps out with our Project Owlnet. We also gave some money to Mud Creek Conservancy for habitat restoration for their new Blue Heron Nature Preserve that's going to be in Indianapolis, as well as the Nature Conservancy around $3,000 to help out with bird safe window film as well as Modus tagging. Our next category is education and access initiatives, so getting people excited about birds. We gave some money to Richmond Parks and Recreation to help with a student-built bird blind, as well as Connor Prairie to help with some accessibility training to help with accessible bird outings, and the International Crane Foundation around $1,000 to help out with birding backpacks that will be distributed statewide, and our friends over at the Indiana Dunes for a dual scope at the Indiana Dunes Nature Center. And then our Feminist Bird Club in Chicago, we gave some money for a bilingual and accessible Jasper Pulaski outing to see the Sandhill crane, as well as the University High School of Indiana, $1,000 for a bird blind and some curriculum development. And then last but not least, our community programs and scholarships. We gave $1,500 to the Humane Indiana Wildlife for the Festival of Owls programming. And we gave a $1,000 scholarship to Brooke Lakin for Purdue University to help with her studies in wildlife. And I'll turn it over to Brad to talk about our next award.
Yeah, boiler up there. I saw a heart there from Angel, and it just we were just looking at all the work up in the dunes, and so I just want to highlight their grant of $4,000 is being matched by them, so it's an $8,000 dual scope. That'll be completely accessible for folks that visit the Bird Observation Tower by the Dunes Bird Fest next year. So really exciting to see not only the impact that you guys are able to have if you're at the Dunes Birding Festival at the silent auction and you've given that way, or individually towards the Mumford and Keller program, and then just to see that it's been able to get doubled and just the total impact for birds to that program. So it's such great to see that. We also give out several different awards each year to individuals who are doing great work. And one of them I wanted to feature tonight is the Earl Brooks Conservation Award. And this really is an award for real world conservation. So these are IAS members that are doing boots on the ground work that's helping out with birds, whether it be through education, conservation, or research. And this year's award winner, who's going to bring it back on the screen again, is Amy Kearns from Mitchell, Indiana. Amy, congratulations. First off, the nominations that we had, looking at all the different programs and such that you've done over the years, the nomination included work that we've talked about with the Shrubs for Shrike program. You've also been involved with Indiana's Barn Owl program and helping to kind of establish different barn owl boxes around the state. You've been involved with the Peregrine program and also the Breeding Bird Survey. And so there's no year that there's a gap in that program. And so really, the work that you've done is dedication to Indiana's birds that go beyond your role in DNR as well. And so for all those things, Indiana Audubon wanted to recognize you with this year's Earl Brooks Award. You're truly a field biologist, you're a mentor, you're a mom, as we can see there, and you've been a voice for our science-based conservation. So we definitely want to award you and congratulate you tonight with everybody here for the great work that you've done as this year's Earl Brooks Award winner.
Thank you very much. It's such an honor. It's very exciting. I'm really appreciative. Thank you so much.
So we saw you some video, you're doing some shrike, and so we threw in a little picture there. It's probably one of the last pictures we've seen you online, and so that was you had just seen what bird?
That was penguins. I went and saw Humboldt penguins in the wild in Peru. It was amazing.
Pretty cool boat. And so yeah, congratulations, and so well deserved. You definitely embody the value that the award stands for. So thanks again for all the work that you've done for us.
Thank you.
You can go online, learn more about the different programs, Mumford and Keller, and both the Brooks and the Mason Award that we give out annually, and kind of what those entail for next year. And so we're always saying each year is nominate, nominate, nominate. There's a lot of great members out there that are doing some great things. And so with that, we want to kind of finish up our hours, kind of looking ahead at 2026 as we're literally crossing into 2026. And so right away, I just want to jump right in at the time that we have remaining and talk about one of the most exciting things that's occurring at our own Mary Gray Bird Sanctuary. And so next year, we'll show that slide. There we go. If you haven't heard yet, you've probably seen some press releases talking about, but no work actually has been done yet. And so we have the Efferson Family Foundation has awarded $60,000 for a complete replacement. In that previous image, you saw a little kind of computer graphic. It's going to be a really nice, large, sturdy bridge that will be able to help Mary Gray through the future. And so if you know the entrance, as soon as you pass the campground, there's that kind of big hump where there's a big round culvert. Well, now a professional level bridge with wood decking and railing will be installed there. And so it'll provide a better accessible access point to and from the campground and allow for future improvements, just having something that's real sturdy and heavy that can withstand large equipment and trucks that might be coming in the property in future years to come. So it's really kind of forward thinking. So we're really happy with the Efferson Family Foundation for being able to provide that. So you may hear an alert sometimes in March, probably early to mid-March, where the sanctuary will actually have to close that portion of the property for a week or two while they do that bridge replacement. But you'll see lots of updates in the e-blasts and social media and Facebook as that's occurring. So it'll be an exciting time for to see that in 2026. That's just a couple months away. That project will be taking place. What else can we talk about? Next year as well, we'll be introducing a new program with Indiana Audubon, or Indiana Audubon Barn Owl Nesting Program. And so one of the things that we've learned through the Bird Technical Advisory Committee, that the thing needed to expand our barn owls in the state is nesting locations. And so we'll be working in collaboration with the DNR, and landowners will be able to fill out a simple form that asks simple questions on whether they would qualify. And literally then the funds would be there to host a barn owl box and the installation on your property if you're eligible. So we'll be seeking to expand for upwards the 5 new barn owl boxes every quarter out there in the wild, to bring out the available nesting habitat so we can bring these guys back to recovery in the state. So look forward to that in 2026. And then we'll have some fun as well in 2026. And I'll let Whitney talk about that a little.
Well, we've got a challenge in store for you all that we've been working on for the last few months now. And we're going to be telling you, giving you more details about this in the coming 2 weeks that we have. So just give us a little bit more time, and you will be able to get a fun game for those of you who like to gamify your birding, where you'll be able to compete for prizes both seasonally and at year's end for various prize packages that we're putting together right now. We're gathering some of those sponsors, and you can get this checklist where you have a little handy thing that you can look at, collect badges and stickers for the for one specific habitat, or you can select, maybe you want to go to all the places in the Northwest Indiana because that's where you live, but it's a different part of the state, or look for visit 5 of the same sites, for the whole year to collect one of our exciting badges. And so there's a lot going on with that. And we will be sharing that link for the webpage here very soon, where you can get a copy of this checklist. You can find ways to gamify your birding throughout the year, not just at the beginning, but if you need a little bit more emphasis or momentum to get you through some of those harder months like January or July, we've got something in store for you with this. And some of those lovely badges were designed by Scott Arvin, who has created our logos. So the ones that we use for Indiana Audubon. And we're really grateful to have his collaboration with that. And also, we've had a lot of staff and contract work behind this. And so we're really thankful for everyone who's contributed to it. So thanks so much to you all. And this is a look at, there will be a leaderboard, kind of like on eBird.
Like Heber, yeah.
Yeah. And then your badges, you not only get those stickers that you can put in the checklist. I've got a mock-up here, but you'll be able to put your stickers and collect those in the checklist. And then we'll also have those badges displayed on the leaderboard here that'll be updated monthly. So if you're excited about this, we look forward to you playing along throughout the year.
We definitely, I'm really excited about it. It's a chance to, visit all these new Indiana Birding Trail sites. If you haven't visited them, there's, it's going to be well over 60 that you can travel out around the state to see. And I want to give a special thanks to Olivia Bach as well, who's kind of helped us develop the checklist challenge and helped come up with some of these different seasonal contests that you'll be seeing. So you'll definitely see more about that as we get to the new year. And there's also a lot of big excitings of an existing program getting new life right now. And so I definitely want to have Sam talk a little bit about the Birdtown Indiana program.
Absolutely. And thanks again to Olivia for all that work on the Dunes Birding Trail. So all the cool things happening with Birdtown, Indiana in 2025. We had 2 new bird towns certified this year, including Bloomington, as well as our first Birdtown County, which is Shelby County. So we're really glad to have them on board. And we've also had 3 recertifications this year. So it's really great to have not only these new certifications, but towns that are continuing to be a part of this process. And being a part of this process requires these communities to complete action items. So those action items fit into 3 separate categories. So we have habitat, building and preserving habitat for birds, reducing and mitigating threats to birds, things like window collisions or free roaming cats, as well as engagement and education. So these are all really great initiatives, and between all 9 of our communities, we've had a total of 83 total actions. So lots of really great projects helping make Indiana a safer place for birds. And there's a lot of really exciting stuff coming in 2026. So Brad and I are developing some new guidelines for the applications to try to make that process as streamlined as possible and give different towns and communities ideas on what we're looking for in these applications, as well as online resources to provide a little bit more there are different things for the towns to do and gain a little bit more clarity on things, as well as provide new ideas. And we're also going to be scheduling a Bird Town Community Spring Gathering to try and create more community among all of our bird towns and just create a really strong network. We're also going to be expanding new partnerships. So we've been working with Bird City Network, which is a global program, so there's bird cities all over the world. We're also going to be working with SICM, which works with invasive species, so helping provide a little bit more expertise on that, as well as our friends over at Pheasants Forever, who can provide a little bit more expertise in habitat, as well as the Indiana DNR, which are another close collaborator of ours, and the Nina Mason Pullman Charitable Trust. So it's really awesome stuff happening, and I'm really excited to see where this goes.
I already see in the comments there's folks putting in different cities or towns they want to get involved. And so, yeah, definitely you can check the Birdtown Indiana page. And if you got an idea for a town or city, we'd love to talk to you. And almost every town has great metrics, things that every town is doing to meet the requirements. And so we're happy to work with new towns in 2026 and see the program grow. So thanks a lot, Sam, for the work that you've been putting in and what we'll see in the future. And speaking of the future, just kind of wrap things up. I see we've hit our hour here. I just want to mention a couple upcoming events that you can join us to. If you're interested in bird walks, crafting bird walk descriptions, it's a program collaborative with Access Birding. It'll be happening virtually December 11th. It's an evening session, so you can sign up to register. It's free, and it's great if you're leading bird walks or just interested in that and kind of making trips more accessible. And then also, if you're not out doing Christmas bird counting this season, you can join us for another virtual, and that's birding remotely. And that'll be with Juan Diego at the Nest Nature Center in Costa Rica. So we'll be doing that live Tuesday, December 30th. So a lot of folks are off that holiday week. And so if you can join us, feel free to do that. Be a lot of fun, a lot of cool birds, a lot of tanagers, and maybe a couple birds from our own home out there on the wintering grounds. So that's going on. A couple of announcements that we'll give and just kind of finish up these last couple slides. It is our end of the year annual appeal. Right now, we have gracious donors that have provided up to 17,000 mats. And that is matching 1-to-1 if you're willing to donate before December 31st. And so I invite you to consider donating at the end of the year. This money helps fund all these programs. It helps to fund Project Owlnet and the shrikes and the wood thrushes and the barn owls and everything you've heard tonight and much more. We had the full itinerary of everything we were going to talk about tonight, and it was like longer than Wicked. So we had to pare it down to just what we're doing tonight. And so just a snapshot. There's a lot more that we had to talk about, but it's all because of you. And I want to thank you guys for joining us this evening. You can always reach out to us if you want to learn more about any of the programs. Consider joining as a volunteer, one of our events on the board of directors, or any of the different roles that you can have an impact as a spark or super sparker in our world as we work to engage birds. So I thank you guys for joining. We're out of time. Feel free. I'll be sticking around though if you have any specific questions you want to put in the chat, or you can reach us via email, phone call, or that website. But thanks again, everyone. That's our highlights and horizons, and we look forward to doing it again next year. Thanks all.